What's up, everybody? Welcome into MLB DFS Live for Wednesday, July 21st. I'm your host, Ben Hosser, joined by Justin Bales. Bales, how is it going, my friend?
Going pretty well. We having just a tremendous baseball season. I came in eighth again last night, which I could be wrong on this, but I believe it takes me to double-digit top 10 finishes. And if you don't know what I play, I basically play, those smaller, like few hundred people single entry. So it's not like I'm coming in the top 10 of like 10,000 people every night or anything. But um, double digit has been, a really, really good baseball season so far.
Yeah, you're having the best baseball season I can ever remember you having. I've been pretty good overall. Had a really hot
Mhm.
stretch and then a little cold stretch, and then I've been really good the last like 3 weeks. So I think combined we're having a pretty good season, but you especially have just been on fire. So hopefully we can continue that tonight. What's your thoughts on the slate as a whole before we just dive in here? A little bit of a smaller slate since we had a bunch of those day games.
Yeah, the slate's smaller, but I actually like it. I think that there's a relatively good mix of high quality pitchers and then, you know, gas tanks or gas cans, where I feel like there's going to be some tough decisions to make. Like right off the top of my head, you have Robbie Ray, who obviously is throwing at an elite level. I think every time I post one of those charts, I just say Robbie Ray, elite. But obviously, he gets the matchup against Boston. Julio Urias gets a much better matchup against San Francisco, but he's not quite as good of a pitcher. They're $200 apart, and then 200 away from Robbie Ray up top is Lance McCullers. Not to get too into things early, but I think that McCullers is pretty obvious, and then I think that you're deciding between Ray and Urias if you want to spend up for your SP2. But it's kind of stuff like that we have on the slate where it'll probably move the ownership around a little bit, and you're not going to have guys that are like 50-60% owned tonight.
Yeah, I think it's a fun slate as well. So we'll go ahead and dive in here. We'll start off at pitcher, which you were just alluding to. Um, yeah, I mean, Robbie Ray is basically having the best season of his career. The walks are way down. Hasn't really sacrificed strikeouts. Normally, if you see a guy that strikes out a lot of guys and also walks a lot of guys, if they really cut down on that walk rate, it's because um, they're not chasing the strikeouts, right? So we really haven't seen that with Robbie Ray. He's still been pretty good in the strikeout department. A tough matchup against the Red Sox, but I think he's the best option on the slate. I think he's the best pitcher on the slate, and I don't know, pitching. I worry less about matchup if it's someone that I think is really good, which I do think that this version of Robbie Ray is really good. So I'm not as worried about that matchup, and I think he's the best option on the slate. And I think McCullers is right there with him. McCullers actually is going to walk more people probably than Robbie Ray. But if you look at the last 30 days, the walk rate for McCullers down below 10%. Strikeouts have been good, and the Indians are just bad. And it's a team that I want to pick on in the second half of the season. They started out of the gate really hot, but if you look at their numbers, like they're kind of known as a low strikeout team. But if you look at their current version of their lineup against righties, there's actually a decent amount of strikeouts in there. And one of their best hitters, which is Framber Reyes, strikes out a ton. So I think it's a good matchup for both those guys. I'm completely fine just pairing them together on DraftKings, but you could certainly make a case for some other guys. So who do you like outside of those top two guys?
Yeah, I think the third's Julio Urias. The more that I'm talking to you here, I actually do think that I probably prefer Robbie Ray to Urias. I wrote up Urias in the breakdown. I still think he's 100% a fine SP2 play in cash games. I think that McCullers is obviously going to be your SP1 when you're looking at the price. I do think that I probably am leaning slightly more towards Robbie Ray here, though. Outside of that, Adam Wainwright gets a solid matchup against the Cubs. He's at home where he's significantly better. My problem is he's 9,300, which isn't really any of a discount for a guy like Adam Wainwright. Dylan Cease at 8,600, I think, is a bit too cheap. Outside of that, I mean, I guess if you want to take like your shot on Eric Fetty, I wouldn't really try to talk you off of it. That he has a pretty good Vegas line, and he's not throwing at like an absurdly terrible level. I think his xFIP's like a little above 4, so basically like your average pitcher, and he gets a good matchup against Miami. And then I will absolutely butcher his name like no tomorrow, but Asher Wojciechowski. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, I actually think you got it right there.
That's what's up. I think if you want to take a dart on him, you can, because he's so cheap. He's only 4,000. Uh, Matchup against the Phillies isn't good, but it's also, there's plenty of strikeouts to be had there. He's not a high strikeout guy, but when you face a team that does strike out quite a bit, it kind of raises your ceiling there a bit. The problem is he's literally not good. So I mean, you're kind of taking a chance on him for 4,000, just not being a good pitcher. Obviously, throwing in the Yankees hitter-friendly stadium. The big thing that it would get you is if you spend down on someone at the 4K as your SP2, you basically can just play Toronto, which most people probably won't be able to get a full 5 stack of them in their lineup just because their price tags are so high. So you're kind of just paying for your hitting instead of pitching. And then I guess Logan Webb, he's also throwing at a very high level. I just don't like the matchup against the Dodgers.
Yeah, I think you covered it pretty well. Wainwright and Dylan Cease were going to be the next two guys that I mentioned. I think they're both fine in tournaments. And Wainwright, obviously GPP only just because of the price tag, but good matchup against a high strikeout Cubs lineup. And Cease, I mean, I like Dylan Cease. He's actually kind of been better than McCullers. Like, if you just strictly look at their numbers, he's basically McCullers or slightly better, and he has strikeout upside. He's just cheaper and a little bit like tougher matchup. But I think for tournaments, it's certainly worth it to drop down to that mid 8K range and go with Cease if you want, especially like you said, if you're trying to fit in an expensive stack. So I like both those guys in tournaments. That's really the four guys I'm interested in. Fetty, I actually think Fetty might get some ownership. Not that he's going to be the highest on the slate or anything, but I think he's going to project pretty well just because he's up against the Marlins and he's kind of the cheapest guy that we just mentioned. So I could see him getting a little bit of ownership. I'll probably pass on him. And that's about it. I don't like any of these other guys, really. So I think it's really 4 or 5 guys for me tonight, and it's all expensive guys. So my night is probably, like, I love the Blue Jays, but I don't know. Like you said, you're not going to be able to fit like a full Blue Jay stack in because they're so expensive. I don't like any of these cheaper pitchers.
Yeah, you would have to do something kind of ridiculous a pitcher to really fit in Toronto tonight.
Yeah. So if you guys have any questions on other pitchers, you can drop them in the chat. We'll talk about some stacks here really quick before we head to the positional plays. I kind of gave it away, but I mean, I don't think the Blue Jays are going to be any secret. They were my number 1 stack yesterday. Get the same matchup today after their game got postponed, so I'm looking at them again. And then I think the Phillies might be the highest owned stack on DraftKings just because they're significantly more affordable than the Blue Jays. They have a big team total, and I think the matchup for them overall is really solid. So I think that's probably the top 2. And then in the game theory article, I broke down 2 other ones I like. One is the White Sox, and the other is the Astros. Astros, I think, is a really good one because they're kind of expensive, so I don't think people will choose them over the Blue Jays. Eli Morgan gives up a ton of hard contact to both sides of the plate, over a 200 ISO to both sides of the plate. Pretty much 3 homers per 9 right now he's giving up. And the Astros have a ton of power, and they have a ton of right-handed power. So I think it's a really good matchup. He's already faced them once, and he allowed 2 home runs in that game. So I think the Astros are a good lower-owned one today.
Yeah, I really like the Astros. Basically everything you said, completely agree with. I think you can take the Yankees on the other side of the Phillies game just because I don't think that Howard's an overly good pitcher. The other stack that I would really want to outline that I actually do like quite a bit, and I don't know, their lineup is so bad that I don't necessarily know how you can stack 5 and feel comfortable that they're going to keep getting around to it. But at the same time, they just keep putting up runs, and that's the Detroit Tigers. Jordan Lyles is a very, very bad pitcher. They're playing in Detroit. So I feel like that's a really good spot. The problem is, one, I don't even know if there's 5 players on that team that I want to stack. And two, if you do stack them, like let's say you stack 1 through 5, you're kind of hoping that 6 through 9 just somehow gets some hits and stuff to bring it around back to the top. But like you don't really trust any of them to do that. Whereas like if you play Houston, and you go like 1 through 5, you still have guys like Kyle Tucker, Toro, Straw, all good players at the bottom where they can just keep their rallies going. Whereas at Texas, it's like once you get out of those top 5, there's a pretty big decline.
Yeah, I think both sides of that game are really good in tournaments. Don't know if I want to full stack them, but that could be a place you look for, mini stacks, maybe one-offs. But you could mini stack, I think, both Texas and Detroit. It's just not a team that I really want to go full 5-man on because, like you said, there's just really not 5 guys that you would feel super confident in. But you can make the case for both those teams, and I don't mind them at all. I looked at them pretty heavily when I was researching. Indians lineup just came out. Believe there's no Jose Ramirez tonight, so that's a further bump to Lance McCullers. You see Zimmer, Rosario, Hernandez, Reyes, Bradley. Yeah, no Jose Ramirez. So I'm sure he'll be quite a bit owned, to be honest. But do you have any other lower owned stacks you want to mention, or like cheaper ones? I think we covered it pretty well.
I think you can go Washington. They just kind of have a ton of upside through the lineup, and they get a pretty good matchup against Nick Nider. Is Holloway going to come in after Nider, or are they just going to let Nider kind of do whatever he can?
Yeah, I think it'll probably be like a piggyback situation, if I had to guess. But
yeah, I think that Washington's a very solid option tonight then too.
Yeah, we can move on to the positional plays. We'll start off at catcher here. 2 guys stuck out to me. One is Gary Sanchez. You kind of talked about the Yankees a little bit. I do think they're a good stack, and I like Sanchez's price in the mid 5K. And then you could also use Real Muto on the other side of that game as well. And for cheap, if we're talking about the Tigers, Grayson Greiner is only 2,200 on DraftKings. I think that's a good punt play, and probably someone I'll consider in cash games if I'm spending out for both my pitchers.
Yeah, I like that. I'll add JT or Muto for 5K. I have no problems if you can get up to him. And Danny Jansen's only 2,900. Obviously, we like Toronto. He would be a cheaper way to get some exposure to that game.
Yeah, battle of the cheap catchers, Danny Jansen versus Grayson Greiner. We'll have to see who comes out on top tonight. This is the type of slates I like when you get to pick between these cheap catchers because I always pick the wrong ones. It's great.
Yeah, it's exactly what you want to do.
Yeah, I don't know. Earlier this season, it was kind of like a joke with me and some other people. But literally, if there was like some cheap catchers, and I played one, the other one would home run. Like every time would hit a home run. It was just unbelievable.
That seems to happen a lot.
Yeah, or like the day early. I'm famous for the day early home run. Like if you guys have access to the core plays, check my cores,
Yeah.
and then like a lot of people in my cores the next day will homer. It happens all the time. It happens more than it should. It's bad, dude.
Yeah.
It's really bad. But yeah, we'll move on to first base here. I think Vlad Jr. and Rhys Hoskins are going to be the top projections here. Those guys are going to be owned in cash games. I think you can make the case for either of them. Hoskins a little bit cheaper, 500 less on DraftKings, so might be a little bit easier to get him in. If you're not using those two, I think Josh Bell at 4K, you can certainly make a case for in cash games or tournaments, even as a one-off. And Miguel Cabrera, I don't mind him, 2,500. I've already talked about the Tigers too much, but I do think that's a good price. But I think for cash, I think Josh Bell is probably going to be a pretty good cash play at his price.
Honestly, I would do everything I can to get to Vlad Jr. I get if you can't.
So bad,
6 is so high. But I agree. I think that other options that you can use, Jose Abreu at 5,100, I think is really good. Yuli Gurriel at 44, I don't have any issues with. I mean, I don't know how we can go on the slate not talking about Bobby Dahlbeck. 2,500. We know the power he has against lefties. If there's one thing that Robbie Ray does struggle with, it's home runs. I mean, you're kind of taking your shot there, but I do think it's reasonable.
Yeah, especially we talk about this all the time. If you're not playing Robbie Ray, take a one off or like two guys against him. It makes all the sense because you're already not using him, and a lot of people are going to have Robbie Ray on their team. So you might as well take one or two guys against him. So that does make sense in tournaments. Second base, there's like quite a bit of plays here. I think you can make the case for high price guys and low price guys. This is a really balanced position
Mhm.
today. So you have Jose Altuve at the top, who I really like, and then obviously
Yep.
Marcus Semien fitting with the Blue Jays theme. So I think you can make the case for some expensive guys. And then for cheaper, our boy Rougned Odor is up in the Yankees lineup. He's hitting third, 3,600. Gene Segura leading off for the Phillies, 3,400. Brad Miller, little bit farther down in the Phillies order, but he's 2,700. So there's some good cheap options here and some good spend ups. So I think you can do whatever you want at second, to be honest.
Yeah, I completely agree. You outlined basically anyone that I was going to say, but very quickly, someone asked if we like Barrera, if he's starting for Washington. For me, yeah, I think he's 100% fine as long as he's in the lineup. I think most places are projecting Rene Rivera to start tonight for them, but I would need to go back and actually check that.
Yeah, if he's in the lineup, good. I actually think Washington's kind of like Philly, where I could see some of their guys picking up ownership just because they're cheap. So, um, if he's in the lineup, I think he's good as well.
Go ahead.
Oh no, second. I mean, I don't know if you like anyone else here. I think Segura and Odor probably are gonna get a good amount of ownership here.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to have to be Segura, right? Who people aren't actually going to play Odor over him, right? And they're only 200 apart.
Yeah, I would think that, but Odor, like he pops in projections quite a bit, for whatever reason. Especially like I've seen, like he pops in ours that Sam does, and he always seems to be like whenever I'm interested in him, like he always seems to be kind of owned. I don't know, it's weird.
I agree.
And now
I
he's
have to
batting
go Segura.
third, so like I could see Odor getting some ownership. And like people like to see the lefty righty matchup, like I don't even think it matters, but if they're just looking at the app and they see lefty righty, that's like further inclined. Whereas Segura's righty righty, so you're gonna be like,
Yeah.
oh, Odor's better play because he's lefty righty.
No, I agree with that. It's for me, Segura. I'm gonna take a hard stand on Segura over Odor tonight.
Yeah, I think the Phillies are just slightly better spot, but
As Odor probably goes for 2 home runs.
I don't know if I'm gonna play him, so I won't say I hope that doesn't happen because maybe I do play. Uh, third base, DJ LeMahieu, I like. You can use him here. He's 4,600. I like Moncada a lot, so I was really on Moncada last night. Um, I'm really mad. So I had a ton of Moncada on Jock Market, and I got outbid for him really late, like right before lock, and I didn't have time to like go in and like outbid the person that outbid me. And of
Yeah.
course he like went off. So I didn't even check to see like what would have happened had I had him, but I had like a good amount of him. So that's unfortunate. But I think he's a good play again. Pineda's given up over a 200 ISO to left-handed batters. White Sox, these lefties on the White Sox are solid. Like they're not big names, when you talk about Goodwin, Gavin Sheets, but
Mhm.
I mean they've hit the ball super well
Yep.
for the whole season basically since they've been in the lineup. So I like Moncada a lot as well.
I completely agree. Moncada's my favorite third baseman tonight.
Good. He
I also
was the
I
cover boy of Game Theory, so I like that you said that.
Nice. I think LeMahieu for $100 more is also good. The thing about Moncada is that his big issue early in the season was that he had literally no power whatsoever, and it has finally showed up. So there's really no problem with him at the plate at the moment. Um, Speaking of Jock Market, though, if you guys don't know, go download the app Jock Market. JOCKMKT, I believe, is what it is in the App Store. It might be just be JCK. Regardless, whatever. Use promo code Karma when you're signing up, get a nice deposit bonus. But I thought that I was so good with Mitch Haniger. I was in the actual market last night and got Mitch Haniger for like $5, and Chris Bryant against the Cardinals for like 450, and I was so happy. And just both did nothing. It was such a disappointment. Meanwhile, I stacked Chicago. Like I loved the White Sox last night, but I didn't go with any of their players, and they ended up. I know Abreu was like 1. I think Moncada was 2. They had like 4 guys in the top 5 or something. Meanwhile, I'm stuck with Mitch Haniger, who should have scored like 80.
He literally just homered like 5 minutes ago too, like today. This is so perfect. But
that makes it
okay,
so much
because
worse.
I saw that you were stacking Chicago yesterday, so I thought you were going to tell me that you were the one that outbid me for Moncada, and I was going to get mad at you for a second.
Oh, that'd have been funny. I played in the. They have like a free contest for anyone wondering. They have a free contest where you can win money. I played in that like the first couple nights. I actually finished in second the first night that I ever did it because I bought literally like every share of Shohei Ohtani and he hit 2 home runs. And then I finished and won like $5 or something. But I actually have been trading in the actual market, like the money league, I guess you would call it. I don't know how to put it, but no, I was all over the White Sox last night and literally didn't get any of them on Jock Market.
Yeah, to echo Bales though, be sure to check it out in the App Store. It's actually really fun. If you guys know anything, like you don't even have to know anything about stocks to play it. It's just very similar to playing regular fantasy. You're just buying shares of players, but it's very fun.
Real quickly, someone asked about Matt Manning. I'm not going to use Matt Manning because his strikeout rate is like 8.5%. I do think it increases. I think it goes up as he throws more innings, but he just doesn't. He's not good at the moment in the MLB. 2 years, Matt Manning could be like a Cy Young candidate. Right now, I don't think that he's a good play now.
Yeah, I won't be shocked if we see him turn around even this season. But it's just like I haven't seen any evidence that the turnaround is going to come anytime soon. But he still could turn around before the season ends. I mean, Skubal was one of the worst pitchers in baseball for like the first 7 weeks of the season, and he's been a lot better. Like he's not great, but he's been significantly
He's solid
better.
now.
I mean, he was like the worst pitcher for like a good 4 weeks. So
Skubal, yeah. Anytime he threw, you stacked against him.
Yeah,
it was so,
and it was like I felt dirty because for like the last 2 years I've been telling people in Discord about Tariq Skubal. I'm like, dude, this kid's gonna be good, and then he comes up and he's just horrible, and I feel like so stupid. But he's started to turn around, so I feel a little bit better.
He looks good now. I used him last night.
Yeah, he's not bad. One last guy at before we get to third base, Isan Diaz is up in the Marlins lineup. He's sub 3K. I'm completely fine playing him as a punt if you want to, and I think you can use him as a one-off as well. All right, shortstop. I think Gregorius is going to be pretty chalky at his price. You can spend up on any of these guys, right? Turner, Bo Bichette, any of those guys. I do think. I can't be certain. I haven't seen the Dodgers lineup. I think there's a decent chance Corey Seager's back tonight. He's a little bit cheaper. So if he would crack to the lineup for the Dodgers, I don't know if he's going to be back tonight or this weekend, but there's a decent chance it's tonight. Unless they don't activate him. So maybe, I don't know. I don't think he's got activated yet, so maybe he's not going to be. I saw like he could be back tonight, so maybe he's not. But if he was in the lineup, I like him. But I'll probably be playing Gregorius in cash.
Yeah, I mean, Gregorius' price tag's just kind of off. You could say the same for like Labor Torres. Outside of that, Bo Bichette, I think, is my favorite guy. I think Tim Anderson's fine. Carlos Correa, 100% fine with that. Even guys like Trey Turner, I don't have any issues there. I will say a guy that just is like a little too cheap is Harold Castro. He's hitting 6th for Detroit. The problem is he just has like literally no power. All of his power does come against right-handed pitching, which is good. But he's hitting like almost 400 or something over his last 10. I think close to 350 maybe. And I mean, if we like Detroit, it's not out of the question that he hitting 6th gets put in a good spot. Yeah, 394 over his last 10. He just literally has no power. He doesn't really steal ever. So I don't know. You're just kind of hoping that he gets up with guys on. So it's kind of like an iffy thing, but he's only 2,800. So it's not like you really need a multi-homer game or anything.
Yep, I completely agree. We'll finish up at outfield. I'll let you start here. So, who do you like at outfield? We'll say like 4K and above. I'll talk about the spend up guys first. I think like obviously there's some obvious ones, but I'll let you lead off here.
Yeah, 4,000 and above. Juan Soto, I absolutely love tonight. You basically play Juan Soto literally every day.
Yeah.
Bryce Harper, outstanding play. Those are probably my two favorite. I do think that Yordan Alvarez is an elite play. I think Joey Gallo against a guy that has no strikeout ability is a very good play. Really, I'm fine with any of the Toronto guys. It's just that I think that there are better options. And then I guess the last guy that I would talk about is probably Giancarlo Stanton. I have no issues whatsoever if you want to use him.
Yeah, I agree. I think Harper and Soto are the best spend ups. I don't know why. Like I've played Soto. I didn't play him last night, but other than last night, I played him every day coming out of the All Star break. He homered like 4 times in 3 games or something crazy. Like he literally came out and said that he was hitting too many ground balls and that normally home run derbies hurt guys, but he actually thinks it helped him. And then he like I don't why would you not try if he comes out and says that it helped him, I'm gonna believe him. And he was already
Mm-hmm.
due for positive regression anyways. His expected batting average was much higher than what his actual batting average was. And yeah, he's been on fire. So I definitely agree. He's been 5% owned every night. He's probably gonna be 5% owned again today.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. There are so many cheap hitters that are just such good plays tonight, though. It's
Yeah.
actually pretty
It's
ridiculous.
actually it's good because it's easy to spend up on 2 guys on DraftKings. There's so many cheap guys. It's crazy. I mean, look at below 4K. Kyle Tucker's 3,900.
Yep.
Michael Brantley's 3,400. And then even like Akil Baddoo, you could use he's 3,300. McCutcheon's
Yep.
3,100 batting cleanup for the Phillies. Like there's so many cheap guys, and then there's even guys below that, right? Like you could use
We
Andrew
could
Vaughn or Greg Allen or someone like that. They're like min price basically.
Andrew Vaughn at 2,500 hitting fifth. You have Josh Harrison, 2,500 expected to lead off for Washington. Adam Engel's only 3,200. He's hitting second for the White Sox. I mean, it's actually pretty ridiculous at this point how cheap a lot of these guys are. Even like Brad Miller, I know he's hitting seventh, but he's 2,700. Miles Straw, we already talked that we like to attack Cleveland tonight. Straw hasn't been good, but he's literally the min price, and we know that he has it in him. If Matt Beattie is starting, obviously I don't really want to attack Webb that much, but he's 2,000 and expected to hit right in the heart of the Dodgers lineup. Like, there's so many really, really good plays. Yadiel Hernandez, if he's playing tonight, he's min price. This is actually getting kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, tons of good cheap options today. So I think the fact that I like 4 pitchers and they're all over 8K, I think that works out pretty well tonight with all these cheap guys. So I think you can pretty comfortably spend up at pitching today. But I think we covered it pretty well. If you guys have any last minute questions, drop them in the chat. Bales, I need a home run call for tonight.
Oh man, on Monday I did a solo stream, and the home run call was Devers, and that was when like 30 guys homered for the Red Sox, and Devers happened to be one of them, but basically the entire team. I will say I don't want to go with anything like too obvious. Because you have like Soto, you have Harper. Both of those would be really good plays. I'm going to go Akil Baddoo.
All right, I like that one. I like his price tag, 3,300 on DraftKings as well. I think that's a good call. I'm gonna go with Isan Diaz. A little bit of a weird one.
Does he even hit home
Oh,
runs?
he's hitting home runs tonight. I'll tell you that.
Does he have? He has 2 on the year.
He's hitting one tonight, baby. I like it.
Someone said they missed the early part. Best low on stacks. One, you can go back and rewatch this. I think both of us probably agree the White Sox and Houston.
Yeah, I like
Unless they're looking for like
Yeah, if you want
even
like a
lower on
crazy one, Marlins, I
Detroit.
think. Yeah, Marlins are either side of the Detroit Texas game would probably be the crazy ones, I think. But I think Houston and the White Sox are both going to be lower owned than like the Phillies or the Yankees, and we both like them very well.
Someone else said favorite pitcher for single entry. I'm assuming this means FanDuel because you would have probably said pitchers if you were talking DraftKings. For me, Lance McCullers. Second, I would say Dylan Cease. What about you?
Yeah, I think McCullers has to be one with Ramirez not being in the Indians lineup. So I'm with you on that. Um, I think it's between Robbie Ray and Dylan Cease for my second choice. I think Robbie Ray is a better pitcher. Cease
Mhm.
has a little bit better matchup. But I'll probably just go with Robbie Ray. But I think overall, if you're just picking one guy, it's probably McCullers, which I don't like. I don't like to play chalk lands McCullers. I never have. But it's just such a good matchup, and there's no like the only other person with legitimate upside is Robbie Ray. Like Urias really isn't going to strike out 10 most likely. Cease could, but I really think McCullers and Ray are like the upside options.
I agree with you. Someone else said, "Oh wait, this isn't League of Legends," and that's funny because I'm playing League of Legends tonight. I think there's a thing at like 4 a.m. or something. I don't know. I'm gonna
Yeah,
I'm
there's
gonna play.
pool.
Are you in at this? Are you gonna get in for tomorrow?
I mean, should I? I don't like. I love to watch video games. I don't watch League of Legends because I don't know what the hell is going on.
I have literally no idea of anything about it. I know less than nothing. You can say something in League of Legends to me. I have no clue. I
Yeah.
know that you can kill people. I believe you can get a dragon,
Nice.
and there's
I
something
have
called
no idea.
creeps.
Like, if you want to tell me you need to watch Call of Duty, I love to watch Call of Duty. I love to watch, Fortnite. I'll watch Apex. I'll watch anything and enjoy it. And I just
See,
don't know what's going on in League of Legends. I have no idea.
I prefer to watch League of Legends. I don't know what's happening, but it seems fun.
Oh, I,
Whereas
I
like
completely agree. There's a lot going on there.
Call of Duty, like I don't have a problem watching it. I don't like Fortnite. I don't know why. I think it kind of like when it first came out, people were like way too into it, and I was like, I'm out on that. Like
The
it's like people are
competitive
too.
Fortnite tournaments are really cool to watch. Like, so cool. It's like completely different than if you just sat down and played the game. Like it's like a different game. But
Yeah, I have some quick tips for us.
okay.
Someone said 4-3 stack in League of Legends, or if you have to, 4-2-1 stack is where it's at. Someone
Yeah.
else said pair ADC and support. I don't know what that means. I'm guessing they're two different positions. Pair those two together.
All right. Well, if you guys
That's
are
what.
playing League of Legends, we have content for that on the website,
Mm-hmm.
dfskarma.com. Get in the Discord. You can get in the Discord for free. We have core plays for all of these sports. And with that being said, I think that does it. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys tomorrow.